Wow, guys, Trump just destroyed Kristen Welker in an NBC interview. You guys don't want to miss this. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss none of the latest videos I post. Let's get right to it.
President Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you.
I want to dive right into this, a lot to get to.
Good.
There are a number of things that make your campaign unprecedented. You are the first former president to run for re-election in more than 100 years. You are facing 4 indictments. You have an incredibly significant lead in the GOP primary polls. But I want to ask you this, Mr. President. Why do you want to be president again?
Well, it's a very simple answer, and I can give it very easily. It's called Make America Great Again. Our country is in serious trouble. I don't think we've ever been so low in terms of certainly opinion, world opinion, and country opinion. People are devastated. They look at what's happening with millions of people coming in, millions of illegal immigrants coming into our country, flooding our cities, flooding the countryside. I think the number is going to be 15 million people by the time you end this. By the end of this year, I think the real number is going to be 15 million people. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions, insane asylums. They say, sir, please don't use that term, but it's true. They're terrorists at a level. It was very interesting. On NBC, I saw a poll, and I saw some statistics, and it said in 2019, there were no terrorists. They caught no terrorists. There was nothing that they saw. There was no anything. And now, this year, it's a record number like they've never seen before.
I'm sorry, guys, but if you pay really close attention to Kristen Welker's face, it's just nothing but disgust. Every time she sees Trump, every time she's talking to Trump, at events, she just looks so disgusted. She's always looking for a gotcha moment. She's always just trying to attack and attack and attack. Where were these questions at for Joe Biden? Kamala Harris. They never had the same energy for those Democrats, so it's easy to weed out the ones and find out who's funding this type of stuff. That's why today's news that you see whenever Trump does something, him and Elon Musk, you see them uncovering where this government money was going. They were paying these news outlets to push hate towards Trump, because they knew what they did was going to bite them in the butt, which is what it's doing now. Let's keep going, guys.
So we did a great job at the border. We did a great job with the military. We did a great job with inflation. We had essentially no inflation. We had a great economy.
Great.
And we didn't have an Afghanistan disaster. We were getting out, but we were going to get out with dignity and pride, not the way they got out. That was a surrender and an embarrassment and horrible. We gave $85 billion worth of equipment to the Taliban. We had death, so much death and so much horrible destruction. And it was a terrible thing. I think it was the lowest point in the history of our country. Now, with all of that, we can change it and we can make America great again. And that's why I'm doing this.
Well, and you have talked about a lot. We are going to delve into a number of issues you brought up. You talked about all the people coming across the border. Of course, a lot of families also coming across the border as well. I want to talk to you about that a little bit later on. But first, let's talk about the breaking news today. We learned just a short time ago that the president's son, Hunter Biden, was indicted by a federal grand jury on 3 gun charges. Given that, Mr. President, can you continue to say that there are 2 systems of justice?
Well, I think there's no question about it. He had a plea deal that was the deal of the century, the art of the deal. You could write a book on it, the art of the deal. And all of a sudden that was broken up by a judge who was able to, a brilliant judge actually, who was able to see through what was happening. And it's a sad situation. I mean, nobody should be happy about this. I'm not happy about it. Nobody is. It's a very sad thing. It's so bad for our country. But, if you think about it, I've been under investigation from the day I came down the escalator, and a phony investigation, fake investigations, investigations that I beat every single time, still under investigations. But it's a very sad thing, and it's a slippery slope and dangerous, very dangerous for our country.
But you talked about the plea deal, but now Hunter Biden's been indicted. He's facing very serious charges. So doesn't that undercut your entire argument that there are 2 systems of justice in this country?
It's one of 12 charges. There are 12 possible charges.
And he's still under investigation.
This is the only charge that doesn't affect his father.
Well, he's still under investigation.
Well, sure, maybe. I mean, let's see what happens. But this is the only charge that doesn't affect Joe Biden. This was the gun charge. But gun charges are very serious. You know, people have had gun charges and gone to jail for a lot of years. I pardoned some people who I thought it was just horrible what happened, but they were put in jail for many, many years, rappers and others. So, look, it's a bad thing, but it's one of 12, and it's the one charge that doesn't affect Joe Biden.
Well, of course, there's no evidence that the president has any link to his son's business dealings. Let me ask you, though,
well, I don't
second.
necessarily agree. He called in. You mean he called in all these meetings? He was calling in on the meetings. He was put on speakerphone, and every single day, and
the witness
literally
testified.
many, many calls. And what about the fact that he got rid of the prosecutor for $1 billion?
Well, the witness who testified.
You don't get rid of this prosecutor, we're not giving you $1 billion to Ukraine. He said that. I mean, there are a lot of things here.
Mr. President, the witness who testified, though, said that he never heard any discussion of business when President Biden was put on the phone.
Wait a minute. You saw the prosecutor thing on television, because I saw it on your network. He said, you don't get rid of this prosecutor, I'm not giving $1 billion.
That was looked into as well. And as you know, there was never any wrongdoing.
If I ever said that, quid pro quo.
That's exactly how the interview is going to go, guys. I can tell you right now. Look, let's move on. Let's move on. She asks Trump a question, and he answers with a fact. And oh, that's not true. Let's move on. She's just looking for a gotcha moment the whole entire time. She's disgusting, man. I want to see them interview any Democrat or any person that was running against Trump with the same manner, with these same facts that she thinks she has. I'm telling you that notebook she has is nothing but just trying to push her agenda. That's all it is. Let's see what I could ask to stumble this guy up. Hey, that's the script. Let's keep going.
Let's move on to what a second Trump term would look
Sure.
like. When you launched your campaign in March, you told the crowd, quote, I am your retribution. What does that mean? What does that look like?
I think retribution is talking in terms of I have to protect people. What they're doing to people is so horrible. They're putting people in jail for long periods of time. Firemen, policemen, accountants, even lawyers. They're in prisons for years now and don't even have trials in some cases. And if you look at Antifa and other groups, practically nothing happened to them. They burned down Portland. They burned down Minneapolis. They took over Seattle. I mean, they literally took over a big chunk of the city. People died and nothing happened to them. We have to protect all people.
But when you talk about retribution, are you talking about directing your attorney general to try to go after your political enemies?
When I talk about retribution, I'm talking about fairness. We have to treat people fairly. These people on January 6th, some of them never even went into the building, and they're being given sentences of, many years.
Are you going to pardon
and nothing
those
is
people who've been
happening?
convicted?
Well, I'm going to look at them, and I certainly might if I think it's appropriate. No, it's a very, very sad thing, and they're dividing the country so badly, and it's very dangerous.
Well, Mr. President, we're going to delve into that a little bit later on, but I want to stay on this idea of what you mean by retribution. Are you looking to appoint an attorney general who will prosecute the people you tell them to prosecute?
I'm looking to appoint an attorney general who's going to be tough on crime and fair. Very simple.
And go after your political enemies?
No, I would never do that. But Biden has done that. Look, Biden, these aren't indictments against me. These are Biden indictments. This isn't God coming down and very fairly said, Joe, you spoke badly about an election. The election was rigged. There's no question about that. There's so much proof on it. Even if you go to the more modern day proof with the, they call it Twitter files, FBI and Twitter, or you take a look at the Amazon stuff or the Google stuff, or you take a look at 2000 Mules, you take a look at all of the ballot stuffing that's on tape, you take a look at the fact that the legislatures didn't approve a lot of the things that were done in the elections and they had to approve. And we could go on forever. We could go on forever. But no, I want somebody that's going to be strong, respected, tough, and fair.
Just to go back to a couple of the points you said, the ballot stuffing, that's something that's been debunked.
It hasn't been debunked.
As you know,
it's on camera.
But I do want to keep moving forward.
Yeah, but
and
Kristen, of course, it's on camera. Hundreds and even thousands and thousands of people. You take a look. True the vote. Take a look. It's on camera.
But, Mr. President,
they have
you know,
thousands
Republican
of pictures.
officials
But
and
I know,
top
but
law
Kristen, you can't say
officials have
they
told
have
you that
thousands of pictures
debunked.
of people. I know you have to say that for your network, but you shouldn't say it. Because that's the problem.
But, Mr.
The
President, that's
news
the
has
truth, and
lost
you've been
such
told that.
power.
Let's stay on
Exactly.
track, though, Mr. President. Let's stay on
But
track
you're
with
saying
this question.
it hasn't. We have thousands of essentially motion pictures of people stuffing the ballot boxes.
But, Mr. President,
tens of thousands.
they're not stuffing the ballot boxes, and you've been told that by your top law enforcement officials. But let's stay on track because we have so much ground to cover.
You have people that went and voted in one place, another place, another place, as many as I understand, 28 different places in one day with 7, 8, 9 ballots apiece. They can't do anymore because it would look too phony. These were professional people. They were stuffing the ballot boxes. It's there. I mean, it's there to see. A lot of people don't like looking at it.
60 different cases all across the country. You lost that, but let's stay on track.
Again, let's stay on track. Again, against all corrupt judges. You know, these people were corrupt. They were out to get Trump. They were getting paid. Taxpayers were paying to go after Trump. You know, and it's all been uncovered now. I hate how every time he gets going on the point and just eating her alive, she has something to say, something negative to say. You know, let's move on. She's just looking for a gotcha moment, man. This stuff is ignorant.
We lost because the judges didn't want to hear them.
Exactly. I
But
just said that.
if this were ever before a court, we would win so easy. There is so much evidence that the election was rigged. And you may not even put the section on your show, and you'll have to decide what you want to do. But people know it was rigged. Look, the media, when I first got involved in politics.
As you know, there's no evidence of that. We have so many different topics.
Tremendous evidence.
I want to talk about what a
Kristen, let me ask you this. You agree there was Twitter files, right?
Mr. President.
You agree there were 51 intelligence agents that lied. You agree with that?
I'm not the one who's being interviewed. Let's stay on track because I want to talk about
that's rigging the election.
Because that's what voters want to hear about, Mr. President.
Krista Walker wants to sit there and tell you what the voters wanted, what the voters want to hear. The people went out and voted. They voted for Trump. She needs to stop acting like she knows and she wants to speak for people like me, people like my neighbor, people like you that are watching this video, who to vote for. They try to embed something into your head that's a lie and try to control who you vote for. That's what these Democrats do. They get controlled by these elite people, then they want to try to control you because they're just tired of being some ragdoll to someone else. Let me know what you guys think about this quick video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what you react to. We're out.